Hey everyone, I'm finally back, this time with some Project Cars 2. This is the WSCR Championship in the career mode. I'm in the Ferrari 488 GT3. This is actually my second attempt at this race. As the first attempt about 16 minutes in, I had to pause the game. When I came back, I had my foot on the clutch instead of the brake pedal, so going into turn 1 I completely lost it. So this is attempt number 2. Tried to do it in a straight shot, and attempt number 2 is already not going very well, so just kind of getting settled back into this game, so I decided to restart one more time. This would be the final restart. Still getting used to the new wheel. If you listen to my podcast, I got the Logitech G29 now, so the pedals are a lot different, the wheel itself is different, just a lot of learning going on, and this is the first trial run, first actual race with that wheel. I was definitely being a little too aggressive. I did a little test run on this race yesterday, or the day before this video, and did a lot better at the start, but actually in my first attempt I did really well right from the get-go, but I already have a little bit of damage. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner, my front end damage is up to a 5, but it's not impacting me so far, so we're just going to keep on going. Plan is for a single pit stop without repairing any damage as of right now, just fuel and tires, and we'll see where that takes me. I have no idea what the other drivers are going to do, if they're going to pit at all. It is an hour-long race. So I'm assuming they're going to, but at this point, being the first race, I have no idea what they're going to do. Coming up on the end of lap 1, I am first in my class. In the GT3 class, I'm 13th overall. If you're not familiar with how these work, there's 3 different classes. There's LMP2, LMP3, and GT3 in this race. I'm in the GT3 class, and really my overall position that really only matters is where I finish in the GT3 class. Now about 3.5 minutes into the race, still in P1 in my class, getting a little pressure from behind. The driver behind me is less than a second, about a half a second behind. There's some debris on the track there that kind of caused me to go a little wide. I probably would have been able to hit it, but I went around it. Still pushing on, see what I can do. This guy that's behind me is giving me quite a fight, just trying to keep that gap behind me. Now about 10 minutes into the race, still doing pretty good, still just a little bit of damage from the beginning of the race. Tires are doing good. Guy behind me is closing in on me some more. I went a little wide there, took the inside, stuck his nose in there, but I was able to hold him off. Still pushing on, got about another 20 to 25 minutes till my first pit stop. Got 29.7 liters of fuel. I figured out during my 200 plus laps of practicing that I burn about 1.4 to 1.5 liters of fuel per lap. So with that, I should have had roughly 20 to 25 laps before I needed to pit stop. Currently on lap 8, so still have a ways to go before then. Now about 16 minutes into the race, getting the first blue flag warnings, which is the LMP2 class cars getting ready to lap me, which is normal. That's what happens in these types of races because they are faster, they are higher class. So letting the first ones through right now. Hopefully they all behave when they're overtaking. Typically in this game they tend to act a little nervous when they're trying to overtake you, and then they overtake you at the worst possible time. It's like you're not even racing them, but they they choose the worst time to overtake. So so far so good. Still getting pressured from the guy behind here. Still staying ahead though. So got another 15 or 17 minutes till the first pit stop, the only pit stop, and but still holding on to P1 in the GT3 class. Now approaching the halfway point of the race, got 10.7 liters of fuel. I got about 5 to 6 laps before I'll have to make my first pit stop. I've got a different person behind me, a different driver that's been really pushing, giving me a hard time. He's gotten close a few times, tried overtaking a couple, but still holding him off. Still P1 in GT3 class, currently P14 overall out of all the cars. But yeah, just a few more laps to be making my first pit stop. Still don't know what kind of pit stop they're going to be doing, but if they're all going to be pitting at all, or if they're going to be 1-2 stops, so we'll find out shortly. I'll be just doing a 1 stop coming up here in just a few laps. It's now 37 minutes into the race, 23 minutes to go. I'm going to come in for my first and only pit stop of the race. I was trying to decide whether I wanted to repair damage or not. Repairing damage would add more time to the pit stop, a lot of time actually. And the damage that I have right now, the 13 on the front, is really not impacting me at all anyway, so I opted just for fuel and tires. I probably could have just gone fuel also. I don't know why I went ahead and had the tires changed, but I definitely needed fuel down to 0.4 laps, 0.6 laps of fuel. So it'll be a relatively quick pit stop, but not Formula One quick. So just fuel and tires, and I'll be back on my way and see what I can do. Also hoping that the other drivers are pit stopping, because I will be dropping positions. During the stop, I think I ended up dropping down to P5 by the time I came out of the pits. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they all do stop. I skipped a little bit of the pit there because it's a long stretch, but yeah, I ended up coming out in P5 in the GT3 class, P19 overall. So now I gotta fight, see if I can get at least to the podium, back up to P3, but if the other 4 drivers end up pit stopping, that should put me back into P1, if not P2. Down to 16 minutes left in the race. The other drivers have not pitted. For the GT3, I was starting to think none of them were going to, and then coming on the front stretch here, looks like one of them did. So that promotes me from P5 to P4 in the GT3 class. Still down in P18 overall, but I'm not so worried about that as I am about the GT3 class. P4, hoping the other top 3 pit stop in the last 15 minutes of the race, but I would be really surprised if they did. The AI typically does not pit stop in the last, 10, 15, 20% of a race. They tend to stay out. They usually pit about the halfway mark, from what I've learned in these other races. So looks like I'm just gonna have to push and try to get P3, P2, or even P1 just by pure speed on track. It's now less than 5 minutes left in the race. P3 is just under 3 seconds ahead of me, so the goal now in these last few minutes is to catch him and overtake him and get on the podium. Getting ready to start the final lap here really soon. Getting really close to getting that P3 position. I got some blue flags, so letting the lap traffic through. With that lap traffic, he's got blue flags also, which is going to help me close in, possibly overtake him, and I decided to just go for it right here on the last corner. So now all I got to do is hold him off for 1 lap, and that will be a P3 finish in the GT3 class. Now into the final stretch of the race. I am in P3, managed to hold it for that lap. Lapped another GT3 car. I think at one time I thought that was P2, but it was just a car that was a lap down. So I will take that. The other two cars, the top, what, P1, P2, and the guy who finished in P4 did not pit stop, I don't believe. So that means next race I probably won't be pit stopping, and I would have won had I just took on enough fuel for the whole race. So gonna continue on to the next race later on, probably like in the next couple days. This race right here, if you enjoyed it, I'm gonna re-upload the same race, but I'm gonna upload the entire race from start to finish with no commentary, just so it's there if anybody wants to watch the whole race. But this was the shortened version. I thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll be back again with another video soon.